I was coaching a talented technical leader on a presentation that mattered a lot to him. He'd done the work, the presentation deck was very polished, and before we opened it, I asked him a question. I said, if this presentation goes perfectly, what happens after you stop talking? What will they decide? What will they do? What will change because you're in the room? He had built a polished answer before he had actually chosen the question. This is the presentation mistake that smart people keep making. The more we know, the more we want to include, and we hope the deck eventually discovers a purpose. It usually does not. Smart people start with information. Great presenters start with change. I'm Tanner Bechtel, and this is Humanity Leads. When a presentation matters, most of us do the same things. We open our slide editing software. We choose a template and the title slide, the history, the architecture, the org chart, data, timelines, the appendix. Somewhere around slide 37, we begin to wonder what the point actually is. But hey, the deck looks tremendous. The problem is not effort. The problem is that we started with a document instead of a decision. Smart people are especially vulnerable to this, I feel. When you know a lot about the topic, leaving something out can feel almost irresponsible. When you're nervous, another statistic feels kind of like protection. Or when you expect to be challenged, density, it feels like authority. I have done this a lot. I have built presentations that were less about helping the room understand and more about proving I had done the work. That's not presenting, that's kind of hiding in public. A presentation is not a transfer of everything you know. It's the design of a useful and fundamental change in another human being that is listening. The change might be a decision, it might be a question, a new way of seeing an existing problem. It might even be a clear, well-informed no. Your job is not to force the outcome. Your job is to make the right outcome easier to see, easier to get to. Task 1. Before you build anything, finish this sentence. After I stop talking, they will, and not they will understand. Understanding matters. It's just difficult to recognize and see in a room. Name something real that you could see happen. They'll approve the next step in the project. They will choose between the two options I present them. They'll assign an owner to this task. Or they'll ask for a second conversation to clarify. Maybe they'll stop treating this as a technical problem and see the real business consequence. Now you have a filter, so every slide, story, and statistic gets one test. Does this help the room reach that outcome with greater clarity and integrity? If it does, keep it. If it does not, move it to the appendix, even if it's beautiful. Even if it took you 3 hours to make and the animation is fantastic. The appendix is not a graveyard. It is a comfortable, loving home for slides that don't get to be in charge of the message anymore. Point 2. Treat the first 90 seconds as expensive, borrowed attention. I do not want you to forget this. This is good for conversations too, not just presentations. You're competing in their mind with the meeting before yours, the meeting after yours, the computer sitting in front of them, the message that just popped up on their phone or their watch. Do not spend that attention introducing the department. Do not begin with the history of the project. Don't thank 12 people while the audience quietly exits their own body. Open with a promise, a consequence, and a map. Let me explain what I mean. So an example, customers are discovering this failure before we are. In the next 20 minutes, I will show you why it is happening, the two options in front of us, and the decision we need to make today. Now, as a listener, I know why I'm listening. I know what is at stake. And I know where we're going, most importantly. So a hook is not manipulation. It is the earliest possible act of respect. It says, I know your attention is valuable and it costs something. I know why this matters to you. And I'm not going to make you sit through 12 slides to discover whether or not I have a point. Number 3, this is where technical presentations lose people. We are excited to explain the thing. The platform, the software, the process, the model, the new architecture, the program. But the audience is still trying to answer a more basic question. Why does this matter to me? Don't let that hang. Begin with what is arriving in their world. What's the compelling event? Customer expectations are changing. The cost of waiting is changing. The risk is arriving faster than our current process can see it. Now there is tension. Now the mechanics have somewhere to land. Meaning creates a place for information. Without meaning, the information just accumulates. And accumulated information feels like work if you're listening, especially when that information belongs to somebody else and you don't know its value yet. 4, here's the part that people hate. Your slides are not the presentation. You are. If the audience can read every word on the slide, they do not need you to read it to them. And if the slide contains every word you plan to say, you're no longer presenting. You're operating a very expensive teleprompter that everybody else is looking at as well. Use the slide for what your voice cannot do. Show the number, show the contrast, show an image, the before and after of the system you're proposing. Let the visual carry the evidence while you carry the meaning. Then add what the slide cannot, like judgment or texture, a customer story, a mistake, or the reason that the number matters. This is especially important when you inherit a presentation deck. Say marketing built it, product added to it. Somebody presented a version 6 months ago to the same audience, and now you have 40 slides in an order that made sense, maybe to a person you've never met. Use the company's material. Do not borrow the company's voice. Build the story in your own words first. Then decide which slides deserve to come with you to reinforce it. If you keep memorizing transitions because the sequence doesn't feel natural, that's not a memory problem on your part. That deck is telling someone else's story and it's not aligning with your own. AI can now build 40 polished slides in the time it used to take you to find the corporate template. That can be useful. I'm not coming down on AI or its use in creating presentation material. The problem is it can also help you become precisely wrong at extraordinary speed if you're not careful. The danger is not that AI will make the presentation without you. The danger is that it will make a beautiful presentation before you have done the thinking. If you have not named the outcome, the computer's not going to rescue you. It will simply help you create confusion much faster. Use it. Ask for structures. Ask for likely objections. Ask it to simplify a diagram and ask what evidence is missing in your messaging. But do not outsource the decision about what the room actually needs from you. The machine doesn't know the relationship. It does not carry the consequences of the recommendation, and it cannot know whether getting a yes is actually the right result. AI can generate a presentation, but you still have to stand behind the decision. Number 5, you started at the end, now end there. Do not deliver 20 excellent minutes of a presentation and close with, "So yeah, that's all I have. Any questions?" Nothing inspires decisive action like a slow verbal disappearance. Name the ask. Ask for what you want. I'm asking you to approve the next phase. Or, I need an owner from each team by Friday. I want you to choose which risk we as a team are willing to carry. The next step is a second session with these 3 people in the room. Then stop talking. Let the room answer. Don't forget to let them answer if you ask them a question. And if you invite a question, think about where the likely answers could take that conversation. Don't script the room. It won't go the way you think it will. Don't manipulate the room either. But do not invite a consequential conversation with no plan for what happens if people see that decision differently than you hoped. Preparation is never going to be control. It is respect for the conversation you invited. Back in that coaching session, we did not start by changing the template. We wrote one sentence. After I stop talking, they will. Then we wrote that 90-second opening. We named the stakes, gave the room a map to navigate, moved the mechanics behind the meaning, let the slides prove what his voice couldn't in that particular instance. The deck got much shorter. More importantly, the decision got clearer. I can't promise every room is always going to agree with you. That's not what you're after. That's not the standard. The standard is whether people can see the decision, understand the evidence clearly, and know what you're asking them to do next. The deck stopped being a record of how much work he had done, and it became a tool that the room could use to do its work. That is the hard truth underneath this whole episode. Smart people often fear that simplicity will make them look less intelligent. It does not. It makes their intelligence usable. And in a world that can generate an infinite amount of information, usable judgment is the thing that becomes scarce. I have one ask of you this week. Take the next presentation that's on your calendar. Before you prep, before you open the deck up to edit it, write one sentence down. After I stop presenting, they will, and answer that. Make it concrete. Then write only the first 90 seconds. Promise the value, name the stakes, give them a map to navigate. Only then are you allowed to open the deck and edit it. And when it is built, rehearse it once without the slides at all. If the story kind of disappears when the screen is off, you do not yet have a presentation. You have a file. Do not build a deck and hope it finds a purpose. Decide what deserves to happen, then build the shortest, clearest, most honest path there. I'm Tanner Bechtel. This is Humanity Leads. Thank you for spending this week with me. If you know somebody currently trapped under the weight of their own 47-slide presentation, maybe send them this episode. Then ask them the question before they open the file. I'll see you next week.